so that not only are you master of your domain, but you're expanding that domain simultaneously.
Yes.
And I think that when you're there,
Yes.
and it's a kind of a metaphysical place
Yes.
in some
Yes.
sense, that you're imbued with a sense of meaning and purpose, and that's
Yes.
an indication that you've
Yes.
actually optimized your neurological function.
Yes, and perhaps we could gloss the idea of purpose, because I think there's a difference between... People get very confused, I think, about the idea of purpose, particularly whether there's a problem that suggesting there is a purpose, and I believe there is a purpose, or there are purposes to the cosmos, not just to my daily life, suggests that somehow it's all been predetermined by God. But this is to misunderstand the nature of time, that there are static slices and God is there and he's sorted it all out and the whole thing's just unfolding. As Bergson says, like a lady's fan being unfurled. It's extremely boring and an entirely static and non-creative universe. But actually something is at stake. Things are unfolding. They have overall a direction, but actually exactly what that direction is isn't known.
That's what it looks like to me.
And it's a fool who says anything positive about the nature of God, but I'm not convinced that God is omniscient and omnipotent either. I think God is in the process of becoming. God is not only just becoming, but is becoming, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, so being and becoming.
More becoming. I think
more
that becoming is the important thing.
Why do you think that? I mean, it's also a
that?
strange segue. I mean, I'm not criticizing, but I'm curious. What drove you to that conclusion?
An awful lot of things, really. I think that everything is a process. In fact, I'm writing a book called There Are No Things.
Oh, what are there instead?
There are processes.
Yes.
And there are patterns.
Patterns.
Yes.
That's why I think music is so powerful.
Music is one of the most mysterious and wonderful things in the universe. And I don't think it's at all foolish of people to have thought that the planetary motions were in some way
not
like...
at all foolish. No, it's a great insight.
Kind of music. I think it is a very important insight.
Well, music, I've thought, and I've said this in public lectures, that music is the most representative of the arts. Because the world is made out of patterns.
Yes.
And music describes how those patterns should be arranged.
You're using representative in a very different way.
I know, it depends on what you mean by representative. And so it's representing the ultimate reality of the cosmos.
Well, I would like to say presentative, in that it's not representing anything. It is actually, when we're in the presence of music, something is coming into being which is at the core of the whole cosmic process.
I think that's why people love music.
They do, and I mean, there's hardly any originality in the idea, because lots of physicists say this, that the sort of the movements of atoms and the movements of planets and so forth are more like a dance or more like music than they are like things bumping into one another. Right.
See, I thought of things as patterns that people have made into tools.
I agree with you, and tools are what the left hemisphere is always looking for. It's always looking for something to grasp.
Right.
It reifies processes that it's all a matter of time. Every single thing, including the mountain behind my house, if you were able to, which is billions of years old, if you were able to take as it were, a series of, like a time-lapse camera, you'd see the thing morphing and changing and flowing.
Right.
Everything flows, as Heraclitus once said, everything flows. It's just a question of over the time period that you consider it.
It's a question of tempo.
It's a question of the tempo.
Yeah, definitely.
And so taking time out of things and considering them in the abstract, deracinated from context, particularly from the flow and from the context of time, changes them into something else. And I think that what in brief, what Plato has done and what a lot of the history of more recent Christianity has done is to thingify God and heaven, perfect states that are unaltered and so on. And I think that it is an ever more wonderfully self-exploring, self-actualizing process that requires a degree of opposition. As a stream